Good afternoon, guys. Obviously, we start right away with last week. Very disappointed in our performance there at North Carolina. We put together, I thought, a pretty good week of preparation and practice, and to get up there and go through a quick momentum swing like that in the second quarter, obviously didn't bode well for us for the rest of the game. We kind of went into a tailspin and didn't recover. However, with that being said, you get on the plane, you come back, you only have a short period of time to self-evaluate, to reevaluate everything with our players and the quick turnaround that we have to start getting ready for as complicated or as different a scheme as Georgia Tech brings. You have to really get into it, make your evaluations, look at it real quick, make the obvious changes you need to make and different things you need to do to move forward and close that chapter and move forward very quickly with this team being an option team and different things like that to get moving and move forward. So, and then also to just get the kids back in, get them corralled back around what we got to get done over the next 2 weeks, and to keep moving forward and getting prepared to play this Saturday. So that's what we did, and I think the guys are climbed right back in the saddle, did a good job, and they're starting the early preparation phases of Georgia Tech, and we had a really good practice, which is a unique week for us in that we don't really get much together because of how different they are on offense. So it really actually tightens guys' focus down to just what they have to get done to be prepared to play this week. So they did a great job today, and we were excited about the energy that they had and the juice that they brought to practice and the excitement that they brought to each other in the competition and the way that they interacted with coaches and coaches interacting with players and coaches. It was a great energy to say that we can definitely feed off of and continue to build the rest of the week off of. So with that, I'll take any questions you guys may have.
Larry, I'm just curious about the kind of the psychology of reaching kids who now it was all about the Coastal and now obviously it isn't.
Yep.
How many? I guess the way I'd ask it is, how many different kind of messages do you have to send? Are some kids motivated by, hey, you're going to be in the league next year, you're still playing for people who are watching you. Some kids might be motivated by a good bowl trip, that kind of stuff. How many different messages do you have to send for your team?
I think the first and foremost, most important one is just it starts with the individual. Individually, you must have a pride about you, your work, who you are, what you were raised to be, but most importantly, what you want to become. And when the tough situations happen and things happen in life, you can't be a guy that wants to just shut down. You have to find a way to scratch, claw, and bring yourself out of it, because it's more than just about football. It's about the person that you're developing into in the long run. So the first challenge is a personal challenge to each and every one of them, each and every coach, each and every staff member, each and every player in the room, to personally challenge themselves to understand where we are, but yet still where we're going and what we want to become and what we're trying to get these young men to see, that there are life lessons behind all of this stuff. And right now you want to tap right into that. I thought that was most important, first and foremost, is to make it a personal challenge. And then two, the commitment that they have to each other. When you decided to become a Miami Hurricane, you joined a team. And as a team of people, you owe it to the guy to the left and the guy to the right of you to always make sure you're giving it your best so that the team continues to grow and move. So it's to make it real and tangible for them about some of the core things that you even get involved in playing this sport and get in sports and get in the game for. And you tap right back into those things, and the challenge actually becomes more of, I got to be intrinsically motivated to be the best player that I can possibly be in everything. And then and it translates into every areas of their life. You always want to strive to be the best that you can be in anything that you commit yourself to. So it's the commitment that you make to each other and the commitment that you make to the team. Those are the first and foremost two most important things that we went after right away. And then number three, of course, is the bowl positioning. You want to make sure you're a bowl team, and you guys deserve to be a bowl team. You've worked your tail off. You're a 6-win team right now. But okay, we only can control the next one. How do we become a 7-win team? Okay, then after we collect that, then how do we become an 8-win team? And if we'll take that approach, we talked about win the day last week, you win the week, you position yourself to win the game. Now it's really, you can drill down into that even more. It's win your one. Okay, what is the one? Okay, what's the rep right in front of me today in practice? What do I have to get done in class? What do I have to win my one each day? So right now it's a daily approach for us, and then it'll be a game-by-game approach, and we can't get to 8 without getting to 7. And then, a very well-positioned 8-4 Miami team will probably find itself in a pretty good situation. But we can only control it 1 week, 1 game at a time. And then now I even drill down into it a little bit further. 1 rep, 1 practice period, at a time. So that's what we got it down to right now.
Larry, how tough is it for you guys as coaches now with all this going on? Coach surge. You got it. Yeah, you deal with the kids all day. You come in early, you go home, but you still go home to your own kids.
Yep.
And I'm sure they're worried, and your wife or families. What's that like?
Again, it was a family decision. When I got into this business, we kind of been around it and been through it and kind of know what it entails when you get into this business. But if you always keep the focus solely on why you got into it, and your kids your kids at home understand that dad's a football coach, and dad loves developing and being around young people, and they become a part of it. They become immersed in the culture, so to speak. It's a way of life for football coaches and families. It's just not your dad's job. It's our way of life. It's what we do as a family. So they enjoy being around the players. They enjoy being around the culture of college football and what that's all about. So, but we also in that we understand it. We understand it. Our wives have to understand it, and they do a great job with it. And the biggest piece to it is that we're mentors of young people, and that's why we get into the business. You get into it for young people, and we just understand that sometimes the business part of it is a big piece to it as well. But if you keep your focus on why you get into it, why you do what you do, and the love that you have for young people, and the love that you have for coaching and developing people and players, it really kind of keeps you centered and keeps you balanced.
And you just have to talk to your family about it, so they like your young kids, your kids.
Yeah. They get it. To me, I still try to keep it. I'm dad. You go home, I'm dad. I'm not coach. I'm dad at home. So and either way it goes to them, I'm going to be dad, regardless.
Oh, Larry, obviously, Georgia Tech, all the focus is on stopping the option.
Yes, sir.
And I kind of asked you a little bit about this the other day, but it's such an obviously topical issue with Georgia Tech. And I don't know that I've ever seen a defense struggle more against the option as these guys this year. Everyone's thrown it at them every week. They haven't come close to stopping it. The guys aren't even in the same zip code. They're running for easy touchdowns. Now you're going to see it every single play this week. How much are you involved in that? What can be done? What's been wrong? And how can it all change by Saturday?
Well, the option is such a alignment and assignment deal. It's you get certain looks to option, and when if you're not aware or know that the option is coming and you're not prepared for that, you can easily by formation and by thing be out of alignment and be out of the situation to play the proper way. However, with that being said, when you know that the option is coming and you know that that's what you're getting, then it's alignment and it's assignment football. There's not 4 verticals that you have to cover as well. There's not all the past concepts with the post wheels and the digs and quarterback runs and all that stuff that you have to defend as well. So when you can center and their focus on just playing the option, assignment, alignment, and details, and what do I have to do to fit the option, it changes the whole dynamic of the install, it changes the whole dynamic of the game plan, it changes the whole dynamic of the singular focus that the guys will have on defending the option. And because that's what you're going to defend with Georgia Tech is the option, where sometimes defenses get caught in it, and you see it happen all over the country when you're not prepared for the speed option, when somebody has the capability with their quarterback at any point in time to do that to you, and you're having to defend the other 15, 16 other things that they're capable of doing in the offense. It makes it a little bit more difficult. And so when you change that focus back to just that this team being an option team, you keep the focus on what it needs to be, and I think you'll see different results.
Larry, you look at just what happened this past weekend. It almost, granted, a lot went on the week after Clemson, a lot more. But you guys were able to bounce back through that week. How much have you all as a coaching staff tapped into that, into those kids and saying, listen, you went through all of that and you came back. We went through another tough one. We're going to come back again. Has that been part of the discussion? Just even them knowing that they can get through something like this because they already have?
I've wanted to always shift the focus from games and teams and everything else to them, to what do we have to do individually to develop and become better at handling adversity, period, in the story, whether it's a game or whether it's something going on at home that we can't carry into what we're doing here and different. So it's just a whole, to really take it and put it into a funnel, it's just handling adversity, period. No matter what happens, no matter whether it's during a football game or a certain team or a certain play or the option or whatever. Guys, how do you handle adversity? When things aren't going right, period, what do you do? How do you handle it? And then there's ways to handle all of those, but it's one common denominator with handling adversity. First, you have to come together. You have to pull together, and you have to remember that what was the core commitment that you made to each other, okay? Well, the core commitment that we made to each other is that we're going to always stay tight and that we're going to always have each other's back and that we're going to play together no matter what happens, okay? We cannot fall apart. We cannot become, so engulfed into what's actually going on till you see different guys being frustrated, different things happening, and that's what we did in the second half of that game, the halftime. It was, what, it's about guys saying, we're going to come back out and we're going to come back out together. We're not going to have all of the frustrations and the different things going on. We're not going to do that. We're going to pull together as a team, and we're going to try to put together the best half of football that we can. And, and want to have guys that are willing to do that and willing to fight for each other and just continue to grow and develop as people and as a team. And so right now, it's just, you want to try to take the focus off of one particular thing and make it, guys, it's adversity. It's handling adverse situations.
And did you see that fight and that energy in practice today?
Yes, I did. And I saw it yesterday. On typically what our day off was, and you can always tell where guys' hearts and minds are. Were they in treatments? Were they coming over and getting the early installs? What was the energy level real high? Was the body language good? Was all of those things? And I sensed that we are growing in that area, and we're growing and being able to handle those things and understand that, okay, once we're done, let's self-evaluate individually. You always ask them to self-evaluate themselves. Then we're going to evaluate as a program and as a staff, and then we're going to come together and we're going to fix the things that we control. We're going to go to work on fixing those things, and we're going to close that chapter and we're going to move on to the next, because we got a 20-hour rule in college football. The more you continue to let that stuff just keep spilling into the week, you're losing time. You're losing valuable time with moving on. And such is life, right? At some point in time, you got to say, okay, enough, done. Let's move on. We got to go. And so that's the message, and that's the big piece of the puzzle that we're trying to send this football team, because if we grow in that area, this program is going to really start to move the way it should move. I believe that.
How's Sonny doing? He was wearing yellow today, and I know he was injured a little bit in the last game. How was he? And then there were a few other guys that went down in that game.
Yeah, I mean, Sonny was the only guy out there in the yellow jersey, and there's more precautionary. It's just kind of getting him to get through some soreness and get strength back in there. But there's nothing wrong with him. It was more just to protect him. He's played a lot of snaps for us this year, and we're coming down to the wire, and we got to be smart with him. And so it was just precaution. He's going to be fine. He's going to be ready to go on Saturday.
The running game, what do you think has been issues there, and then what realistic number do you think you have to get to kind of get the offensive consistency that you want?
You're right. The run game has been kind of spotty for us, and it's definitely something that we're constantly addressing and constantly dealing with, and constantly trying to find the runs and find the surfaces and different things like that. We want to make sure we're attacking, but the bottom line is to stay consistent with it. I think we have to really hone in on being consistent with the run, staying with it, and continuing to drive home the point to the guys up front that we're going to stay with it, and you got to keep pushing. I've been a part of games where you couldn't move it a lick, then all of a sudden late in the third, fourth quarter, a couple of runs start to pop here and there, and that's just from just being consistent and staying with it. So obviously, it's something we're addressing, it's something we're dealing with daily, and it's something that we're going to stay a little bit more consistent with to make sure we shore up some. And as far as what was the second part of your question?
The number, is there a number that you would like to see out of the run? Do you need a specific number or?
Oh, we always set a goal, but it's more yards per carry for us. It's more of an efficiency type of deal. In our offense, and probably like around the league, and a lot of people's offenses, that's not really, at the end of the day, it's not the total number. It's how efficient are you being per down, per carry. So, and that with us is usually we want to be around 4 to 4.5 yards a carry.
Okay, last question.
The other day, you're sitting there, you look at the stat sheet at halftime, you've got more yards than North Carolina, you're losing 31-0. So, you know, obviously there's other things at play with this team. They're caving in to adversity and things like that. You know, there's a lot of those types of things. From your perspective, after having a chance to review it, and you could look back even to the Clemson game where it was a little bit similar, a little more pronounced, but why is this team just totally falling apart when it's playing good teams?
You know, I see it a little bit differently. I see it as though we make some critical errors in areas that we shouldn't in those games against really good football teams. And when you make those critical errors, it's just like when you watch two good football teams play on Sunday. If one team makes a critical error in a critical situation and then makes another critical error against a good football team, you can't do it. You can't do it. You can sometimes against teams that may not be a little more as good as you are. Those things you can recover from those, but against a really good football team like them at 8-1, that had only had one defeat and they were playing pretty good and kind of rocking on all cylinders. If you snap the ball high over the quarterback's head and the ball's on the ground and you give them a short field, you're probably going to pay for that mistake. If you miss a field goal to put points on the board, you're probably going to pay for that mistake. If you give up a punt return in the first half, you're probably going to pay for that mistake. So I don't think it's a mechanism of caving or giving in. It's understanding that those critical errors can't be made against really good football teams in those type of games. And I think that's a point and another building block to what I'm talking about as people and understanding the details of making sure that we continue to develop and handle adversity and put ourselves in those situations to understand that those critical errors that we sometimes in practice or what have you kind of say, oh, I'll get it right on game day. It doesn't happen unless you get it right Tuesday. It doesn't happen unless you get it right Wednesday and that you get it right Thursday. And that's the attention to details and the continuing building of our team and of our psyche and of our developing as people and that I'm talking about. And so of course, everybody knows that that's a process, but it has to be a consistent process, one that you're making them and forcing them to abide by, do by, live by, and held accountable to every day.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.